Hi everyone, welcome back to True Crime Files. You're with Kathy today. I've just come across this story, and it seems that a man is on death row. He's been in prison for quite a while now, and he's aged 75, I think it is. But Sonny didn't kill anybody, but the Alabama is set to execute him on the 12th of March anyway. So before I share the news item, I will read a little bit out about him. Um, let's see if I can save his picture first. Let's save his picture. File. Is it in my pictures? No, pictures. Bear with me a minute. I'll just bring his picture up so that you can see him. Let me add image file. Just trying to find him. Bear with me. Should have had this already beforehand. Sonny, where are you, Sonny? A minute. Oh, there he is. So this man here, he's on death row, and he's known as Charles, but Sonny Burton has never killed anyone, but was involved in a robbery of a store back in 1991. He was one of the 6 men involved in the heist. However, the theft case was worsened after one customer, Doug Battle, was murdered during the robbery. Burton was not the one who killed Battle, rather than it was one of his accomplices known as Derek DeBruce. He was the one who shot the 34-year-old in the back. So where was Burton? Sonny was not in the store when the shooting happened. He did take some cash from the safe located in the back room, but immediately went outside and waited in the group's getaway car. But in a surprising twist, Burton was accused of felony murder. He has spent more than 30 years on death row and is scheduled to be executed this Thursday, on the 12th of March. So in 2 days' time, he's due to be executed. It remains he remains his innocence and reiterated, excuse my words, that he did not kill anybody. And Sonny says, I shouldn't die for something I haven't done. Burton said in the phone interview from the William C. Holman Correctional Facility, I didn't know a murder was even going to happen. I would have stopped it. So, I don't know why, when someone's sentenced on death row, why they are in prison or on death row for like 30 years before they die. So what's the point in having someone on death row and then not being executed for the next, for 30 years later? Surely you would thought they would have done it within a few weeks or maybe a few months, but not 3 decades. That is absolutely ridiculous. Although he was not responsible for the death of Battle, Burton fell under the legal doctrine known as felony murder. Under this, prosecutors can treat anyone involved in the crime as responsible for a murder that happened in cases that include burglary or robbery. Felony murder allows for everyone to be involved in the underlying offence to be treated by the legal system as if they committed an intentional murder. Unfortunately, prosecutors are singling out Burton as the leader of the group. The 75-year-old debates that claim and maintains his innocence. DeBruce got off easy. He was allegedly behind the murder of Battle, but DeBruce's fate was different. Initially, he was sentenced to death. He ended up getting a lighter punishment after a court ruling. This was after attorney provided ineffective representation during the penalty phase of his trial. That is not fair. Where the one that did kill the person. It's got off lightly because of misrepresentation during the trial. And yet Charles, known as Sonny, is going to be killed in 2 days' time. I think the government out there need to do something to stop him from being executed, especially if he's got a really good record of being well behaved within the prison for the last 30 years. You know, if he's got a squeaky clean record, then I reckon, you know, they should relook at his case again and, you know, do another trial and see if he still stands for that length of time, like 30 years, or if he's let off because of time served. With his days being numbered, many have made calls to spare the life of Burton, including some jurors from his 1992 trial. Supporters and family members have urged the government K. Ivy to reconsider Burton's clemency unless a sudden order is handed out by Ivy, I can't pronounce his name. Then the legal doctrine stands, said the Associated Press reported. A jury convicted Mr. Burton of capital murder recommended the death sentence. Over the past 33 years, his conviction and sentence has been reviewed at least 9 times, and no court has found any reason to overturn the jury's decision. So, you know, I think it's unfair. I mean, if he's been a right little toe rag in prison and causing trouble and, you know, having to go to solitary or whatever they do, I don't understand the death penalty out there. You know, I reckon they should either relook at it or they should just let him off, you know, not take him to death, because that's not very nice. And it says, according to the Death Penalty Information Centre, people are killed by nitrogen gas and they die within 15 to 40 minutes after it's carried out. Now, to me, that sounds fucking painful. I'm sorry for my language, but it sounds bloody painful. It really does. And if there's any way I can message the governor, you know, to change the decision or something, then I will, because some cases really, really get to me. Like I did one the other day. Oh, what was it? I can't remember now. It was a child abuse one. And I didn't read what I was going to be producing before I produced it. And I was almost in tears. You know, my eyes were welling up reading it because it hit home to me. It was personal to me as well. So, you know, when I get on my soapbox, then lo and behold, I get on my soapbox and, you know, I won't let sleeping dogs lie. But I'll play his video. Let me check I still got it up. No, I haven't. So if I remove this gentleman here and add the news item up, add to stage, remove. Oh gosh. Stop screen. Let's start fresh. And it is, leave that one, yes. If the volume's low, I apologize. I haven't listened to this news clip. I'm just reacting to it at the same time as everyone else is watching this. If the volume's low, because today I've had problems with the volume on news reports where it's been really low, and where I'm new at this, I physically don't know how to turn it up for anybody. Right, so let me put it on
in
full
less
screen.
than a week. The state of Alabama plans to execute a 75-year-old man for a killing they know he did not commit.
I shouldn't die for something I haven't done.
His name is Charles Sonny Burton. Days ago, he called me from death row.
Hey, I've been here a long time.
In 1991, Sonny and 5 other men committed an armed robbery at an AutoZone. He grabbed cash, then ran outside and waited at the car. Inside, an accomplice shot and killed a customer named Doug Battle. Did you know a murder was about to happen?
No, I would have stopped that.
And he
I
went for
would have
coffee.
stopped that.
The man who pulled the trigger was sentenced to death. Years later, a circuit court reduced that sentence to life in prison, finding his lawyer rendered ineffective assistance during the penalty phase. That gunman died behind bars in 2020. But Sonny Burton, the man who had been outside at the car, is scheduled to be killed on March 12th, even though he never killed anyone.
It's appalling.
I ain't have to participate in that kind of way.
Sonny has been fighting his death sentence for 3 decades. He's lost all of his appeals. Prosecutors argue he was the ringleader of the group, a claim Sonny denies.
I didn't assist nobody. I didn't aid nobody. I didn't tell nobody to shoot nobody.
Now he has an unlikely ally, the victim's daughter, Tori Battle. She recently published an op-ed urging Alabama Governor Kay Ivey to spare Sonny Burton's life.
Wow.
She wrote, "As I've grown older, I've come to understand that justice is not about vengeance. It's about truth, proportionality, and fairness." Adding, "No one from the state has ever sat with me to explain why Alabama believes it must execute a man who did not kill my father." The explanation is called the felony murder rule.
People who are convicted and serving sentences for felony murder did not commit an intentional killing.
Dr. Nazgul Gandnoush is the director of research at the Sentencing Project, a nonprofit that advocates for effective crime policies. She says felony murder is a distinctly American legal doctrine that can turn participating in certain felonies into a murder conviction if someone is killed.
Felony murder allows for everybody involved in the underlying offense to be treated by the legal system as if they committed an intentional murder.
You could be convicted of murder and be considered a killer, even if you weren't present at the scene.
Absolutely.
It's
That's
put tens
so
of thousands
unfair.
of people in prison and disproportionately affects people of color. No other developed country follows this law the way we do. England banned it in 1957.
I'm sorry, but colour should not come into it. You know, we've all got the same bloods in us. You know, if you're black, white, I dare say it, half caste. I don't mean no offense on that. I'm not sure what the political right way of saying it is, but it doesn't matter what color or race you come from. Our blood is all the same. You know, we still got the same muscles and bloods and same heart. So, you know, we're no different from being a different color. So I don't know why the people have to keep on bringing color into it, because, you know, I think that's totally unfair. And that colour should not make a difference in anything, especially in this day and age. You know, we're humans, we're adults, and we should act like adults. You shouldn't accuse someone for the colour of their skin. You know, there's been too many black deaths that have been taken for just the reason of their skin colour. And like ever since the rule came in a few years ago that a lot of people had noticed there wasn't many black people in programs or dramas or things like that. And then since they've realized that we're all one race, even though we've got different skin colors, since then more black people have been in dramas, films, and all sorts of things. So you see a lot more colour now, which is good because we're treating them as equal and we expect to be treated equal back as well. So this really winds me up when people are so racist, and there's a good few choice swear words, and I might contact that governor just to see if a mere one person from the United Kingdom can help against a petition on it. Obviously, I'm not very well in the communication skills, so I should probably use ChatGPT or AI to draw me up a letter, just so it sounds all prim and proper. But yeah, this is ridiculous because of colour. I reckon they should look at this guy. I know he's had 9 appeals before, but they must be missing out on something. and the rules have to be changed. You know, how can you be convicted of murder if you wasn't there and you got proof that you wasn't there? It just doesn't seem fair. I know life's not fair, but, you know, life isn't fair when someone's been accused of murder or being treated as if they murdered someone, and he's on death row, and in 2 days he's going to lose his life. Now, I'm going to make a note of his name on my notebook so that I can check on Thursday. I've got a family funeral to go to Thursday for midday, but it's like an hour and a half traveling each way. But I will keep a check on this to see what happens. And I really, really, really pray he escapes the death penalty. I really do. They haven't said in the news that since he's been in prison for the last 30 years, if, you know, he's got a clean record of being good in there. I'm sure he has been, you know, and that. So he doesn't know anything other than the four walls of a cell. So I'll carry on playing this because otherwise I'm going to rattle on it and I won't shut up about it.
Today, 48 states have some version of felony murder. Only Kentucky and Hawaii do not. In Florida, more than 1,500 people are in prison for felony murder, representing nearly 1 out of every 10 murder convictions in the state. Ryan Hollies was one of them.
Never in my entire childhood did I ever have a brush with law.
Never.
Nope. Never been arrested in my entire life.
Then came March 10th, 2003. Ryan was 20 years old, living in Pensacola. He and his roommates threw a party.
And I ended up drinking and going to sleep.
Before dawn, a friend named Billy woke him up. He was with a few other guys Ryan says he didn't really know.
Billy is asking to borrow the keys to my car. They're laughing and joking about it, saying that they're going to go commit a robbery. But yet at the same time, they're also talking about going to get food.
And what do you tell Billy?
I say yes, because he'd borrowed the keys to my car plenty of times before. And then I went back to sleep.
Less than an hour later, Ryan woke up to a crash. His car was in his backyard. The men were burning their clothes. Ryan saw them pull a safe from the back seat.
I would have never have let them get the damn keys to my car if I thought they were serious.
But it was more serious than Ryan knew. During the robbery, 18-year-old Jessica Snyder, who'd been at the party just hours before, was beaten to death with the butt of a shotgun one of the men found in her house. Within minutes, police were at Ryan's door.
When the sheriffs came, the first thing I did was I started crying. And I told him I wanted to talk to him.
You can tell him.
To them?
I let him.
You can tell he's welling up now. It's retelling the story, bless him.
Know exactly what happened.
He said he had nothing to hide, that he'd done nothing wrong. I just want to read you some things from this. I read back to him his statement to police about what the men told him before he handed over his keys.
And you said, well, they said something about going over to Jessica's mom's house and I don't know, beating her up or whatever. So you knew that something bad was about to happen, is basically what that's saying.
I never took it serious.
Ryan had no idea he'd just given law enforcement all they needed to charge him with murder. The prosecutor's logic fit on a bumper sticker. No car, no crime.
I'm in shock. Complete shock.
You had no idea this was coming?
No idea.
On the day of Ryan's trial, his mother, Sylvia, sat in the front row.
I was holding on to a rosary in my hand, and I could have sworn it was going to go through my skin. I held it so tight.
The trial barely lasted 8 hours.
Prosecution makes its case, defense makes its case, jury deliberates and comes back with a decision all in a single day.
Yep. By 6 o'clock that night, I was back in the county jail with a natural life sentence.
Even though Ryan had been asleep when Jessica Snyder was killed, unaware her murder was happening, he received the same sentence as the man who beat her to death.
Life without the possibility of parole.
Yep. I was like, there's no way.
Ryan's mother turned her outrage into action.
I wrote to everybody and anybody that would listen.
By 2014, Ryan's case caught the attention of Florida's Clemency Board. They held a hearing. Jessica's father and sister argued Ryan should die in prison.
Please renew our faith in our judicial system by keeping this guy in prison for the rest of his life.
He made the wrong decisions. To this day, he doesn't feel guilty about it.
Do you feel like you should accept some culpability at this point, that you're somewhat responsible
for her death?
Yeah.
That's tough. I don't know. I don't know, Dan.
Yeah.
something I still golly.
Bless
Hold
them.
on.
It's okay. Take your time. What are you feeling right now?
What do you expect him to bloody...
That girl's
What do you expect him to feel like? That's a stupid question. It's like if someone's in a car accident and the police or someone goes up there and say, "How are you?" Well, I'm just been in a car accident. How do you think I'm bloody feeling? You know, this man's got so many emotions running through his veins. You know, it's like a nightmare being relived every time he talks about it. And it's not going to get any easier for him. I think every time he talks about it, he's going to well up and tear. You know, people say men don't cry. They do cry, and they should cry, because it's one way to let all that emotion out. You don't buckle it up, otherwise you'll end up with severe mental health issues if you do.
died. No matter what, everybody freaking blames me too.
Despite the pleas from Jessica's family, Rick Scott, Florida's governor at the time, reduced Ryan's sentence to 25 years to life.
I believe Ryan Hawley's case is why we have the authority to commute sentences.
But Ryan remained in prison for another decade.
There he goes. Oh my God.
In December 2024, the gates finally opened. His mother was waiting.
I love you. I love you.
But Ryan's freedom comes with a footnote.
Wow.
A long one. He's on probation for the next decade, with a list of things
Really?
he's not allowed to do. You could go back to prison for the rest of your life.
Yep.
For being in a bar.
Yep. Even if I'm not even the one drinking.
Ryan Hawley was released because a governor showed mercy. Now in Alabama, Sonny Burton is waiting to see if Governor Kay Ivey will do the same for him. Last
Ivey,
month,
let
when
me
she
write
set
that down.
Burton's execution date, she
Kay
said she has
Ivey.
no current plans to grant clemency in this case.
What?
But she added she retains her authority to...
You're almost probably the same age as that Sonny guy, or if not, you look a bit older, maybe, sort of like in your 80s. But bloody hell, woman, come on, have faith.
change her mind at any time. The Alabama Attorney General's office told us in a statement, the jury unanimously recommended the death penalty.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Earlier this week, I tracked down one of those jurors, Priscilla Townsend.
When you voted to sentence him to death, you knew that he was not the trigger man, right?
Yes, we did.
But more than 3 decades later, Priscilla, who asked that we not show her face, told me she regrets her decision.
The death sentence is too harsh for someone that did not pull the trigger.
How are you going to feel if he doesn't get mercy and he's killed?
Well, I feel horrible about it. I don't understand why at the point in time when the other gentleman, when his sentence was lessened, why no one came back and assisted Sonny. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
And Priscilla isn't alone. 5 other jurors from Sonny's 1992 trial have signed sworn affidavits saying they now regret their decision to send him to death, believing the governor should show Burton mercy and save his life. Days ago, Sonny's lawyer filed a final appeal, this time with the U.S. Supreme Court. The Alabama AG's office replied saying his death sentence is long overdue.
What?
These may be the final public words that people hear from you.
The minutes are ticking down on Sonny Burton's life.
What do you want people listening to this to know?
I want people that listen to me to know that I didn't kill nobody. These are my last words.
Dan Slavian, NBC News.
That's just heartbreaking, that is. What do you all think? I know, like they said in the UK, we abolished the death sentence over here, which I'm really pleased about, but not so pleased on some of the real people that deserve to be on death row and to be executed to death. But I severely, I really think that Sonny doesn't deserve it. And if it's all because of down to his colour, then, the world's crazy. It really is. I'm going to email that governor, whether or not I can find an email address for her, because I can't physically post a letter, because a letter from the UK to Alabama won't get there within a day. not unless I get a pigeon to take it for me. But I will try and find an email contact for this governor, because, you know, we need to speak up for this guy. It's so important, like I said, especially if he's got a squeaky clean record. You know, if he's proven himself to be the model prisoner and that. So it's just terrible. He might not have many years naturally to live, but that's besides the point. They could let him out. They could put him on tag. They could give him certain restrictions. But even if he does come out, he's going to find it really hard to adjust back in the real world. He really will. You know, things have changed from 30 years ago. You know, 30 years ago, there was no mobile phones. And I think the internet was dial-up connection. I'm sure it was, from what I remember. You know, you used to switch on your computer of a morning, go make a cup of coffee, have a wash, and then time you get back, you might be lucky if you were connected to the internet. So, you know, even if he is released from prison on special conditions, he's going to find life really hard, because that's all he's known for the last 30 years is being inside that prison and within 4 walls of a small prison cell. I don't know what luxuries he gets or anything like that, but rest me, I will find this governor's email or some way of contacting them. Even if I have to phone them up and try and speak to someone, I will do that from the UK. And I just pray, you know, he's not executed on Thursday. But I got to bear in mind how many hours ahead or behind is Alabama to me, because what my Thursday might be their Friday or their Wednesday. So I need to look into that before I have my lunch. Right. Thank you all very much for listening to me truffling on. But when I heard about this case, I thought I've got to do something about it. And please like and share this as well. Share it as much as you possibly can. And maybe something can get done. You know, we need to speak up for these people, because there's not a lot he can do from the 4 walls of his cell. So you're liking this video for the content and not for your host. And if you fancy buying me a cup of coffee, I'd really appreciate it. Right, that's it for now till I come back later on today. See you. Bye-bye.